How would your colleagues describe you in 3 words? Go.
Cool, sexy, and fun.
I feel like we need to phone someone right now.
Okay.
Okay, so welcome to the 7th episode of After Work Drinks. This time, strategy focused.
Very serious, Josh.
So, Josh Bullmore, I've got to get this right.
Hi.
Chief Strategy Officer across all the creative agencies at Publicis.
Yeah.
Joe Arden.
Not strictly all of them, but nearly all.
Joe Arden, Chief Strategy Officer, AMV.
Yes.
Thanks, guys, for coming on the set.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You guys are Chief Strategy Officers. What exactly do you do?
My colleagues would say that I largely alliterate.
Oh.
That's mostly what the job is, like 3 C's.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had to map out like the things I do, and there were 4 C's, which I'm going to try and remember. One was like client strategy. One was grandly titled corporate strategy. The third was like capability building, like things like before mentioned AI, for example.
Yeah.
And the fourth, culture.
Oh, that
like
odd
building culture, that little thing at the end there. So those, I think, those were the 4 alliterative things.
Joe, do you concur?
I concur.
Okay, well, that's the end of that.
So that's the end of that podcast.
So Joe, what's your day-to-day as Chief Strategy Officer?
The day-to-day, I think, depressingly, if you boil any job down nowadays, amounts to writing emails, finishing PowerPoint decks, sitting on Teams calls. I like to think there's more to it than that, but that is the general structure of the day. I think you do a lot of stuff at our level, which is about the corporate business, about, driving the vision for that, about establishing what you're going to do next, what you're going to focus on, how you prioritize. But then, I don't know about you, but like still being a strategist. Like a lot of my day is still being
that's what I was going to ask you. If you get so high up that you can't see anyone above you, do you feel like you're more removed from the day-to-day strategy work?
I don't particularly. And I think strategy, anyway, is quite a democratic role. I think, it's not that deep. You become more experienced and you take on bigger responsibilities for the people and the money mainly. But I think the role of strategy doesn't massively change from when you first get good at it to when you end up where we are now, which hopefully is still pretty good at it, and love to practice. So now, I think the market nowadays means that you have to be one of your own team. We don't have the bandwidth or, the head count to be able to go, like, don't bother me with that request. We're still working all the time, mainly working all the time.
Totally. The majority of the time is still client strategy.
Right.
I would agree.
What about new business?
I suppose within client strategy, I'd say whether it's existing clients or potential clients, but still the craft of brand and creative strategy.
Do you guys love a pitch?
Yeah, I think there's something.
Everyone loves a pitch. I know at the same time, everybody hates it. But there's a lot it's quite interesting. We were talking about this in our office this week. The joy of a pitch is that you've not got a client involved. So you can do the work that you really want to do. Like the thinking is pure, the work is pure. You're not that constrained by budgets because you know nominally what they'll spend, but you can give yourself a bit of artistic license. But it's the camaraderie. And that's why people love it, because for a little while, you're so bonded to that group of people and you've got each other's backs, and inevitably, because of WhatsApp, you are like on the call with them 24 hours a day, all over the weekend. And it sounds awful, but it's the bond you build. And I think that's why people work in advertising. The work's great. We make beautiful work, but more than that, we make beautiful relationships.
Yeah. How do you follow that?
Pretty good, isn't she? Should go on to the next question. Go on. This one's to you. Josh, what's the best and the worst part of your job?
I think there's nothing as satisfying as when it all clicks. So say you've surrounded yourself with lots of amazing people and you've read lots of stuff and you've maybe been prompted by ChatGPT occasionally, but you've actually then done the thing, the back of your brain, your subconscious has taken it away. I don't know, it would be interesting to hear whether you agree with this. And then there is a moment when something clicks and falls into place and you're like, oh, right, that's how we'll point this brand forward or this group of people forward on this creative brief. And there's something, I think, uniquely satisfying. If there's external things you enjoy, like the camaraderie and relationships that keep you going, the internal part of it, for me at least, is the satisfaction of something clicking. You go, whoa, I've got something.
Yeah.
That's going to work. And then the inverse is when that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And the sort of the roller coaster of a strategist, like you start with a blank sheet of paper. I was like, oh, am I going to be able to see that again? And then the moment when you think you've got something, and then it becomes patently clear that you haven't because the major competitor did it last week or whatever it might be. And so that is the roller coaster.
How do you think the role of a strategist has changed over the years?
There's now more to read, more places to explore, ultimately more channels to show up in. I think our access to information can be really overwhelming. And I think that's really hard for strategists, because however much you invest your time and you read and you think and you speak to people and you explore, it's endless. There's always more that you could be doing. And I think that is different than it was 10, 15 years ago. Even really simple things, like when I started working in advertising, I didn't have a computer at home. So there's no way I was Googling anything on a weekend. I might go to the library, certainly would have looked around at other sources a bit more. But I think we need to probably just put a bit of a handle on that. I was reading a book which is absolutely brilliant, but there was a T.S. Eliot quote in it which summed up something that I say a lot at work. So I often say there's the stuff and then there's the thing, and our job is to find the thing. And this T.S. Eliot quote, if I'm remembering it correctly, was, "What knowledge have we lost amongst the information we've gained?" And I quite like that as something to help strategists navigate, that you don't need to read everything and find everything. You need to find the thing that's interesting.
What's the most important trait or attitude for someone starting out as a strategist today?
Well, I think resilience. We both work actually with the APG and been involved in the Arrive and Thrive program about getting new talent in the industry. And right now, I think that's what you need, is determination, resilience to get in and get on.
Tell me what you mean by resilience
I think
for your department.
specifically for strategists, you've got to be able to go away, bring some thinking back, expose yourself in a vulnerable way and say, what does everyone think of this? And be able to be prepared for that to be contradicted or taken down or taken to pieces, or you go away and refine it. And I think so it's a preparedness to be vulnerable and then pick up all the pieces of whatever's left and take it away and go again and keep going.
Okay.
I think resilience gets a bit of a bad rap nowadays.
And it does, because there's some negative connotations to it in terms of, for advertising, you need to be resilient because everyone's going to fucking knock you down 100 times. And I think it's just worth defining what you mean by it. And your definition works perfectly. But yes, there's some negative stuff out there with resilience.
And I think Josh is describing it in the way it's meant to be applied. And I think it's got a bit muddied with this idea that you just need to be able to suck it up. That isn't what resilience is. Resilience is having the internal tools to be able to put an idea out there and then have it knocked about a bit and then, reshape it and go again the next day. And I think that comes from a place of having a good trusting team and a good leader. Like, you'll be a good leader around people's building of resilience.
And I think in your departments, you've probably created a safe environment so that people don't mind being vulnerable and then exposed to need to be resilient because their ideas are out there, but it's a collaborative workspace rather than a criticism, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to phrase this question, but know that I'm talking to two of the least intimidating people in the industry.
What?
The strategy department can be quite intimidating, and I think it's because you're known as like the big brains. Did you like that? So do you think your department is intimidating? Can you see how it might be?
I think within our agency lives have really tried to dismantle that perception of strategy as being where people with big brains hang out. Like, we actively dislike it.
Partly because of our lack of
Exactly
brain.
that. Yeah.
Largely a defensive mechanism.
It's much better for us if that is not the case. Our industry for a while had strategy as a preserve of, the Russell Group or Oxbridge, and that's not my background, and I don't believe that it's either essentially you went there or essentially you didn't. But what I do know is that if everybody believes that you have to have gone there, there's a whole echelon of the population, big group of people, kids growing up across the UK, going to normal comprehensive schools, fighting their way to get decent A levels and maybe go to uni, maybe not, but they don't feel included. And if we finish our roles, our careers, and those people feel included, I think we'll have done a really good job.
Tell me about wordsmithing, right? Because some of the best strategists I've ever worked with have really chosen their words so beautifully. But some of them are very concise and some of them are very wordy. And I think it must be such an art to get these beautiful words down so that everybody can just understand things simply and concisely. Is that something you've had to learn over the years?
Quite a lot of strategists take real joy in the written word, don't they, as well? And you'll think about when an idea clicks.
Yes.
I think that often comes along with when you get the perfect phrase for it.
Totally.
Especially, in pitches, often it's really important to have those sticky bits of language.
Yeah.
Their clients are seeing maybe 4 agencies, maybe a lot more than that nowadays. And you need to get them to remember not just a piece of creative work, but the core strategy. And if you can summarize that in something which sticks, you've got so much more of a chance of winning.
You can disagree with this statement too. A lot of strategic work is arguably done by an individual, not as a team. Now, feel free to just disagree with this. Starting with data and research, does that mean that strategists work better solo rather than in collaboration?
I think it depends on the individual. There are definitely moments of convergence and divergence. There are moments when you have to get a lot of people's input and then boil that down and then take that back in. And I think in practice, the craft, you have these moments where you're taking thinking back out and gathering loads of perspectives or seeking perspectives from background reading, whatever it might be, or bouncing off with the client, and then bring you back in and going, right, what have we learned? And you're doing that in kind of iterative, agile fashion. So it's sort of taking the internal, taking external, and a mixture of both. So I think I would reject the idea of a strategist who goes off and works in.
You work in an agency, you sort of have to be collaborative, right?
So
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it depends on the person, depends on the task, depends on the day. Sometimes, and we're all human, aren't we? Sometimes you just go, today I just want to be on my own and try and think my way through this. And then other days, half an hour sat with somebody over a desk, batting an idea around is the answer to it. So yeah, I think that's true. If you're in any of the strategy surveys that we've ever participated in or read, the thing that strategists want most is more time to think.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Be yourself with skill. I think the qualifier. So be yourself, always be yourself, but just know which part of yourself is most relevant or powerful in any given situation.
I would have preferred be yourself without skill.
Be yourself with no skill whatsoever. That's more liberating, but maybe less valuable.
Exactly.
Yes.
Never be afraid. My dad used to say all the time.
Really?
It's a good thing to, I don't actually. And actually, around work, I think if you do find that you're afraid, that's time to lift yourself out of the situation.
Yeah.
What would you pop into room 101 from the advertising industry?
I would pop snobbery in straight off,
Yep.
whether that's intellectual snobbery that we talked about before, whether that's creative snobbery, whether that's snobbery over what's high culture, low culture. It irritates me beyond belief, and I think it actively gets in the way of what we do. So that's what I'd lob in.
Nice.
I've put spam, awards and spam in there. Not the canned meat. I mean, that might be delicious. But awards spam, I think it makes us look daft. Why would we do that when we've got actual problems to solve?
Tell us something most people don't know about you that might relate to.
A lot of people relate to it, but it's only revealed by accident in a pitch process when you had to reveal something your colleagues didn't know about you, that I'd done breakdancing lessons at night school around the corner from the agency, to the mirth and hilarity of my colleagues.
Did you show anyone what you felt?
No, it was during COVID, so we were on screen, so I could just pretend I was doing the wiggly worm. I couldn't do anything. I was absolutely hopeless.
That is the end of our beautiful... Oh,
Thanks, guys.
thanks for having us. What's the one question you'd like to ask each other?
I've got one.
Yeah.
I've got one.
So we've turned to each other like this. It's like therapy.
Where have I gone?
I think this could have been a lot better if we have just.
How dare you?